Hey everybody, welcome to the show. Around the Nation right here, TYT Nation. Oh my god, have we got a show. Holy crap, the news has gotten insane over the past few hours, especially in regards to Michael Cohen. I've got a bunch of stuff on that. First, we'll give you the context of what's actually going on. Then we've got the reaction from Trump's VP, or former VP of the organization. Oh, that's interesting. So that'll be great. Then we have Donald Trump's reaction to this, which is very, very interesting and possibly criminal. So that stuff is, those stories are amazing. You're going to love those stories. Then we also have Fox News randomly calling random Guatemalans part of the caravan with no proof whatsoever. That's fun. We also have... What? So the question here is not to give away too much. But what is going on in Indiana that seems to be creating so many young Nazis? I have no idea, but I will give you more context into that story because that's insanity, right? And then if we get to it, of course, we'll talk about what Bernie Sanders was doing the other day. And then, I'm not sure. We're just going to go with what we've got here today. We'll talk about it. These stories are pretty in-depth, so I think we'll spend a lot of their time on Michael Cohen, on the Cohen story, which is really, really important because of what it possibly means. So we'll see what happens, okay? But anyway, now, before I get to the show, the camera fundraiser on GoFundMe has officially raised about $590. I want to give a shout out here to Joshua Lighthill for donating $25. Thank you so much, Josh. That means a ton. We're going to get an awesome camera because of you guys. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Also, super chat here from Elwell. This is Happy Friday. And says she's still dedicating the donation towards the camera fund to her mother, passed away this week. I am so sorry. My condolences to you. I know how difficult it is to lose a family member, and I couldn't imagine losing my mom. So thank you so much for sharing, and thank you so much for donating, and especially in her name. So thank you, and again, my condolences to you and your family in what I'm sure is probably the most difficult time of your life. So thank you so much for sharing. Thank you. If it makes you feel better, I'd give you a hug if I could, because I know how tough that is to lose a family member. Okay. Anyway, so thank you guys for donating to the fundraiser. Thank you guys for donating to the super chat and our Patreon, of course, patreon.com/TYTNation. And then what we're going to do here is we're going to dive into this first story. You're not going to believe this. Let's go to Michael Cohen. Okay. So recently, BuzzFeed wrote an article which could potentially sink President Trump. I know that is a bold claim, but let's get into the details. Now, first, before I do that, there are some major caveats here that need to be addressed. We'll talk about those, but if correct, the details are damning. Now, this, of course, has a lot to do with President Trump allegedly ordering Michael Cohen to lie to Congress on his behalf. So, look, that's big news, right? Now, Aaron Blake, writing for the Washington Post, kind of breaks it down, and I'm going to read that. And they said that if this is true, this would be, quote, an event so cut and dried that even Republicans would be hard-pressed not to consider impeachment. Now, look, for me, I see that and I'm like, I don't know about that. Let's be honest. In my experience, you should probably never try to hold Republicans up to a high moral standard. They're Republicans. Of course they don't have a high moral standard. So that claim in itself is, I don't know, but okay, it's got to be something really, really bad. So, well, let's get the details, right? Now, as I said before, BuzzFeed broke the story Thursday night about the alleged Trump request. Now, they said the lie that Cohen told is the one that he had pleaded guilty to. So he's saying, look, I pleaded guilty to this. I'm getting jail time for this. So I'm serving time. And this is, and look, giving him the details about Mueller, I should say, giving Mueller the details about all this stuff is actually how I got a plea deal. Okay. Well, then, here's the thing. Now, this is about efforts to secure a Trump Tower Moscow, right? So what he did is that he lied about Trump Tower Moscow. Now, BuzzFeed also reports that not only did Cohen tell Mueller's team that Trump told him to lie, but that Mueller had evidence of this before confronting Cohen. So it's not necessarily, if this is true, based on the word of Michael Cohen, which is sketchy as best, right? Because, look, Michael Cohen, he has lied before. He's lied to the Mueller team. He's lied to the American public on behalf of President Trump. He is a serial liar, so why would you believe him? He's a snake. I've said it before. Well, if Mueller has the receipts, and Mueller came at him already knowing this information and say, look, I got you. I got you dead to rights, Michael Cohen. And how about we make a deal, and you can tell me more about what's going on? So you can make this obstruction of justice case, and that's what this is about. So if he's got those goods, well, then this could be potentially devastating. However, as I said before, big caveats before everybody gets too excited. Now, one of these caveats is that this information, this scoop from BuzzFeed, is based on two anonymous federal law enforcement officials involved in an investigation of the matter. Oh, okay. Well, uh-oh. Now, we've gotten burned before on some of these anonymous officials, so I would take that with a grain of salt. The second thing is Cohen's team isn't actually confirming it. So that's also a bit of a red flag. So when it comes to this being a potential bombshell, it could be huge, but it also could be nothing because it might not even be backed up. So those are things that you should definitely be aware of when talking about this story. Nonetheless, this could be really, really big. And look, we don't know what evidence Mueller has because Mueller hasn't come out with his report. However, this report does make it sound like that Mueller does have those goods. Now, here's the key part in that. They said the special counsel's office learned about Trump's directive for Cohen to lie to Congress through interviews with multiple witnesses from the Trump organization and internal company emails, text messages, and a cache of other documents. Really? Now, if that's true, that sounds like a lot of evidence. Not only that, but according to the report, Cohen acknowledged those instructions during his interview with that office, with the office of the special counsel. So, okay, well that's interesting. Now, again, let's get into more details here, right? Collusion and obstruction of justice are crimes that are subject to interpretation. So that could work in Trump's favor or not. Now, Trump's team and many Republicans in Congress, which of course you would need to persuade in order to vote for impeachment, that's what this is about, are basically interpreting the Comey firing as not obstruction. And they're saying, well, look, I know what he said. He said he fired Comey because of the Russia thing, but maybe it's because it makes him uncomfortable. Well, okay, well, I can see why it would make him uncomfortable, especially if he actually did it. But, okay, say you're a Republican and you're really skeptical about this, and you're saying, look, you know, the president, yes, he could have fired Comey because of that, but he also could have fired Comey for a lot of different things, as the president does have a lot of leeway when it comes to hiring and firing people. And look, to be fair, President Trump had a show and basically where he said, you're fired. That was his tagline. So, yes, if you ignore a lot of this stuff that was found, if you're a Republican, pretty much putting your fingers in your ears and your head in the sand, you can say, okay, look, he has got a lot of leeway. And he just did it because he didn't like Comey. Okay, fair enough. Now, the Trump Tower meeting is another thing, right? Now, to me, it's collusion. That is, at least it is a very big attempt at collusion. Okay, no question, right? Now, to some others, since there was possibly no information exchanged in that meeting that we know of, and we can't say for sure, they could make an argument that, hey, man, look, we were trying to collude, but we didn't actually collude because they didn't have anything worth using. So no crime there. Now, for me, it's like, well, wait a minute. Wouldn't you get arrested for or get in trouble for for planning to rob a bank? That for me, it seems like if you're planning to rob a bank, you got the getaway car, you got the mask, you got the guns stockpiled, you got the plans all there ready to go. You would think that you would be arrested for trying to rob a bank. Well, Don Jr., he was at the Trump Tower meeting with the full willingness to take help from the Russian government when it comes to, I don't know, trying to get dirt on Hillary Clinton. That was the whole point of the meeting. And he's like, I didn't get anything from it, so I guess I didn't end up robbing the bank. But I was planning on it if there was an opportunity. But I guess the bank just didn't have enough money or whatever. Well, it still says you did something wrong, or at least you wanted to do something wrong. Okay, anyway. But now, the other problem here, right, is that according to the Justice Department, their guidelines, a sitting president cannot be indicted. So even if Mueller had the evidence to be able to indict the president, he can't due to the Justice Department. Now, that unfortunately leaves this into the hands of Congress. Now, in Congress, you would need 2/3 of the Senate, or at least 20 Republicans, to remove Trump from office. Right now, the GOP base loves Donald Trump. So if there isn't clear and irrefutable evidence of criminal wrongdoing, and I think maybe we could find that in the emoluments clause, Republicans will just shrug their shoulders. That brings us to this. Apparently, asking someone to lie, however, if proven, is not up for interpretation. That is clearly a felony. Now, that makes this report potentially problematic for Donald Trump. Now, look, even Trump's own Attorney General nominee, William Barr. Now, William Barr, I've got a million problems with William Barr. And I thought, oh, great. Trump's going after the guy, or I'm sorry, Trump is appointing the guy that preemptively wrote a letter criticizing the Mueller investigation. Well, it's over, it's over, it's over. Well, no, apparently not. At least if you can believe William Barr, which I don't. But he said during his confirmation hearings that that instructing someone to lie on your behalf to Congress is a crime, even as if you're a sitting president, which shouldn't matter. It's a crime. So this would be, and not only that, but he has also argued that in that memo criticizing Mueller's obstruction of justice probe, that this would be a crime. So if it is found that Cohen did indeed lie to Congress on behalf of President Trump, well then, there it is. Now, whether or not that's enough to convince Republicans, I don't know. But let me give you that quote in Barr's 2018 memo. He said, if a president knowingly destroys or alters evidence, suborns perjury, or induces a witness to change testimony, or commits any act deliberately impairing the integrity or availability of evidence, then he, like anyone else, commits the crime of obstruction. Now, when asked by Senator Lindsey Graham this exact question, so if there was some reason to believe that the president tried to coach somebody not to testify or testify falsely, i.e. Cohen, that could be obstruction of justice. To which Barr said, yeah. He also then confirmed again to Senator Amy Klobuchar, who asked pretty much the same question, like, hey, so if you send someone to lie on your behalf to Congress, is that not a crime? To which Barr said, Absolutely it is. Okay, then. Now, however, the whole problem rests with relying on Republicans adhering to a higher standard. And who knows if Barr himself was being honest about his position. You can definitely lie in a confirmation hearing, we've seen it before, and then take a completely different position once you get the job. So having to rely on William Barr and Republicans to be honest and to actually care about the law, I'm sure there are some that do, but whether or not that would be enough, I don't know, man. I don't know. Lots of caveats here, lots of problems with this, so I remain cautious. And we'll see. But there is also potential here to stick Trump for doing criminal activity and clear obstruction of justice. And so that is an impeachable offense. And we'll see if Republicans have enough integrity, to be able to do it. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Look, if Mueller does have the actual evidence in the form of text, emails, and organization witness statements, well, they could have a real case that at least maybe possibly enough Republicans can't ignore. But again, we'll have to see. We'll have to see. Tick tock? Maybe. Okay. So, moving on. So a former Trump organization executive just dished about how Trump is taking these mounting scandals. Now, this is former VP Barbara Ress, and she was talking to CNN's Brianna Taylor, and she basically said how Trump is deeply, deeply afraid. Now, on this interview, which I do not have video for, unfortunately, she said, typically and historically, Donald Trump has always rolled with the punches. He used to say, all press is good press. Okay, well, look, that's something that, of course, we know. President Trump, or before he was president, was always looking for a headline, so much so that he would call into different news organizations or news outlets pretending to be someone else to talk about Donald Trump, to get his name into the headlines. So, you know, good press, or all press is good press, right? Boy, I love it when the news talks about me. Well, that is until, of course, the news starts to criticize you and also talk about maybe you doing some criminal things, which could get you into a lot of trouble. Now, you know, the press talking about him so much. In fact, Rez told Kylar, quote, "Now I don't see that anymore. I see him going into a corner. I see him scratching back like a cornered animal. I think he's afraid." Now, that is a strong statement, and not from somebody who was originally a Trump critic, but somebody who worked with Donald Trump, who had, you know, photos of Trump and her and others taken together. So this is somebody who was high up into the Trump organization. So that's really important context. Again, this is not like having an interview with the Krasenstein brothers, right? Or whatever. No, this is somebody who was deeply embedded into the organization. And now she is saying, this guy is deeply afraid. What is going on here? So now, it kind of makes you wonder why. I mean, if he's innocent of everything, then why would he be afraid? Why would he be afraid of the impending Mueller report? Why would he be afraid of the so-called 100% categorically false, according to Rudy Giuliani, BuzzFeed piece on him ordering Cohen to lie on his behalf to Congress? Why would he be afraid of that? I mean, if he didn't do it, right? Or if it's not even a crime, if collusion isn't a crime, or if obstruction of justice, he never did obstruction of justice. What are you talking about? Why would he be so afraid? Gee, I don't know why. I mean, could it be that the Steele dossier, which, look, originally, yes, that was published by BuzzFeed, and it was full of so many salacious elements to it, including the damn pee-pee tape, right? So that a lot of us, and myself included, criticized BuzzFeed for releasing that. Because it's like, man, that seems like it's real journalistic malpractice, right? Well, it turns out that some of the things in the Steele dossier actually got proven true. And not only that, but again, you had Cohen, that news dropping, again, by BuzzFeed, saying that, yes, Cohen did lie on Trump's behalf. So, and this is all about Trump Tower Moscow, which normally wasn't a big deal. However, it turns out when you instruct someone to lie to Congress on your behalf about said deal that you tried to get during your campaign, well, then that could be problematic. Not only that, but you have Democrats looking into launching investigations into Trump, into the organization, into his tax returns, etc. You've got the shutdown continuing to drag on, killing his poll numbers, his fellow Republicans, politicians secretly despising him, and of course now he's losing to Chuck and Nancy. Oh, that's embarrassing. Now, speaking of Nancy, Rez added that Nancy Pelosi, of all people, was especially getting under the president's skin. Now, you would think it'd be Chuck Schumer, right? No, it's Nancy Pelosi. I wonder why. I wonder if it has anything to do with the fact that she's a woman and that Donald Trump cannot handle strong women, especially ones that oppose him. Weird. But anyway, on that, she said, what's kind of funny about it is he likes to hit back, where you shoot him with a water pistol and he'll shoot you back with a magnum or something. He likes to hit back 10 times harder than he's been hit or more. And he's got, when it comes to Pelosi, he's got nothing to hit her back with. This is silly. It looks ridiculous. Now, what she means by that, to give you a little context into what's going on, is that, for one, Nancy Pelosi is actually outplaying Trump at his own game over the shutdown. I never thought I would say anything like that. Never. Like, normally, I don't give Nancy Pelosi credit. I am not a Nancy Pelosi fan. But her not inviting him to the State of the Union, so good. So good. I love it. And his reaction, of course, is to be, oh yeah? I can't go to the State of the Union? Well, fine, you can't go to Afghanistan. Yeah, he literally grounded her flight to Afghanistan. Also, apparently, the White House had leaked her travel plans to the press, right? Now, all of this, and by the way, saying, oh, you can't take the plane during the shutdown, right? So now, at the same time he's doing all that, he also flew Melania out to Mar-a-Lago on the taxpayer's dime. All at the same time, all during the shutdown. And by the way, that is paid for by the taxpayer. No, that's not petty at all or indicative of somebody who happens to be getting under your skin. No, not at all. Oh, this is so sad to watch. Now, the whole thing, of course, taken in the big picture, would be absolutely hilarious if, of course, he wasn't trying to bring the whole damn country down with him. Something to think about. Okay. Moving on. Oh, I forgot to set that. Nope. So President Trump continues to go unhinged at some of the reports, especially considering Michael Cohen and how Cohen has now pointed the finger at Trump and saying, look, he ordered me to lie to Congress. Now, in a fiery response on Twitter, Trump apparently had threatened Michael Cohen's family. Wow. Now, he said on Twitter, don't forget Michael Cohen, and he's quoting Kevin Corke here, has already convicted of perjury and fraud, and as recently as this week, the Wall Street Journal has suggested that he may have stolen tens of thousands of dollars. Lying to reduce his jail time. Watch father-in-law. Wait a minute. So, again, he gives a quote because, of course, he's watching Fox News. As if he does not have a shutdown to, solve or a country to run. No, but he's got enough time to quote tweet Fox News. Now, the important context, the important part about that is, of course, here you have Trump saying, watch father-in-law. What do you mean? Why are you saying? Why is the president of the United States saying to watch Cohen's father-in-law, somebody that obviously he does not get along with anymore? Are you making like a threat? Is that what's going on? Well, apparently a lot of people on social media thought so. And so this could be bad for the president as well. Now, some of the reactions on Twitter are as follows. First, we'll go to Sam Stein, writer for the Huffington Post. He said plainly, quote, this is witness intimidation. Okay. Rick Wilson says, you gave into your fear. I knew you would. The reek of your fear musk is so strong, wolves are howling 100 miles away. Damn. I don't know, for some reason that makes me think of Game of Thrones. Pour Me Coffee says, I know someone whose father-in-law did jail time. It rhymes with Sri Lanka. Now, that is a good reference to Jared Kushner's dad, Charles Kushner. Now, Charles Kushner, in 2005, was convicted of illegal campaign contributions, tax evasion, and witness tampering. Oh, well, that's interesting. And, of course, served time in federal prison. Witness tampering. Interesting, as I said before. Now, Eugene Gu, MD, says, now Trump, as president of the United States, is threatening Michael Cohen's father-in-law as retaliation for Cohen testifying against Trump and cooperating with Mueller. Sounds like witness tampering to me. Again on that. Maggie Haberman, writer for the New York Times, says the president once again threatens a witness before Congress by threatening his family. William Legate says this tweet is a felony. And look, he doesn't just say that without providing context. Here you have 18 USC 1505, the United States Penal Code here, who says, whoever endeavors to influence, obstruct, or impede the due and proper exercise of the power of inquiry, under which any inquiry or investigation is being had by either house, is guilty of a felony. So, yeah, I would say that if you are tweeting threats towards someone who you don't get along with, towards their family, that should be considered felonious tweets. By the way, that would be an awesome either Twitter handle or band name. Felonious tweets. Look into it. You can thank me later. Erica Orden says, Cohen is slated to testify before Congress, and now Trump has repeatedly made ominous suggestions regarding a member of Cohen's family. Interesting. And then finally, here you have Kellyanne Conway's husband, who's counselor to the president, by the way, having the last laugh. George Conway tweets, 5 tweets this morning, and everyone, you've misspelled the I never had any conversation with Michael Cohen about his testimony considering the Moscow Trump Tower deal. Awesome. So, I love social media, man. Here you have a president basically melting down in real time, tweeting threats at people, hate quote tweeting, well, not hate quote tweeting Fox News, but definitely quote tweeting Fox News, and hate tweeting everyone else. Again, this would be hilarious if it weren't so sad and dangerous for the country. We got to get this guy out of here, man. He's got to go. Invoke the 25th, because obviously he is not smart enough and he is not stable enough. He is not a very stable genius to avoid incriminating himself on Twitter. Nobody is as dumb as this president. And that's why he should not be running this country. Get him out. Get him out. All right. Here's what we're going to do. I'm going to take a break. We'll come back. We got more stories here. We'll get into the caravan. And then we will talk about some disaster going on here in Indiana. You're not going to see this one coming. So we'll do that. We'll talk about that stuff after the break. We'll read some super chats as well. We'll check up on the fundraiser. And we'll do that right after the break. So stay right here. Around the Nation. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the show, Around the Nation, right here. Jeff Waldorf with you. No change on the fundraiser. That's fine. As well on the super chat. So we'll dive into the stories here. Let's move on. Let's go into Fox News being Fox News. Shocker. Okay, we'll get to this one. Okay. So President Donald Trump may be in a bit of trouble due to the revelations from Michael Cohen, who is alleged to have lied on behalf and on the direction of President Trump to Congress. Okay. Now, even before this conflagration erupted that happened last night, Trump has already been reeling due to the shutdown, and now Fox News is desperate to shift the conversation. To what, you ask? Another fearful immigrant caravan. Now, that's right. Fox sent a reporter, Steve Harrigan, down to Guatemala in order to report on the caravan, and here's part of his report. This is great.
You really, as we can see, some more, it looks like very young men here. ¿Cuántos años usted? He looks to be about 16 or 17, most of them carrying just one sack. And strangely enough, a lot of the young men that I've talked to had absolutely no money in their pockets for what could be a month-long trip. One man told me today, I'll rely on people on the road to feed me. We haven't seen any handouts. We haven't seen any financing. We have seen some like church soup kitchen lunches, people providing for the migrants. But largely, they've really been on their own. It's mainly young men, but we've seen some women, husbands, mothers, and small children, too, which is a really tough road. But about the Mexican reaction, they might have worn out their welcome, especially around Tijuana. They've just shut down a major shelter there in Tijuana, just as another caravan is coming. And these caravans are getting bigger and faster. We don't know how big this one's going to get. It's about 2,000, but it could go to 7, 10, or 15,000. There's 2 more scheduled, so now the waves are getting closer and closer together. Because I think these caravans, at least here in Guatemala and in Honduras, are seen as a success. People have not been deported back home. They've not been thrown in jail. They've made it. So more people are joining.
Oh, man, I love the desperation. I mean, look, these caravans are coming bigger and faster. Bigger and faster. It's about 2,000, but who knows? It could swell to 15,000 people. Imagine 15,000 people coming to America for freedom. Really? Really? This is what we're talking about? And apparently 2 people just randomly walking down the road. Oh, they must be part of the caravan. Why do you assume that? I mean, look, they could be. I don't know. Or they could just be 2 people walking down the road. I don't know. But here's the whole message, right? Be scared. Here comes the caravan. They're coming to take your jobs. 15,000 of them going to come take your jobs. And they're like a couple of minutes away from saying, hide your wife, hide your kids. Because these Guatemalans are coming. They're coming. God, this is awesome. They are so desperate to distract from Trump, right? The issues, the legal issues, all the stuff that's happening with the Trump campaign right now, that they do this incredibly fear-mongering segment about another caravan. Which, by the way, look, they use this to the lead-up of the midterm elections, right? All you could hear them talk about, it's caravan, it's coming. It's getting bigger. That's 7,000 people, 8,000 people, 10 billion people. They're coming. They're all coming. And then once the midterm happened, what happened to it? Well, at least Donald Trump stopped talking about it. And so, look, that's what this is. This is distraction, right? They assume that these people are all in some sort of caravan, which is not even true, right? This isn't even an actual caravan. And Fox viewers, of course, will automatically take them at their word. And listen to what he said earlier in this part. I talked to some people. They don't have any money. Oh, no kidding. Yeah, people coming to America to escape rampant poverty and corruption. What, you expect them to have money? What? No. And yeah, you know, these young men, man, they got no money in their pockets. They got no food either. Gee, I wonder why they're trying to leave. I mean, come on, man. And of course, there's the very thing that triggers conservatives is, I will rely on people on the road to feed me. Oh, how dare you! Pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Oh, they're coming to America to take all the welfare. Oh, that's what this is, man. Again, this is a ridiculous fear-mongering segment. It's pathetic. It's pathetic. And it's a huge distraction. I mean, and look, this was even happening before the BuzzFeed story dropped on Cohen. So you can expect even more fear-mongering about another caravan in the next few weeks, or at least this one, or consistent segments on Hannity and Tucker Carlson's show. Bet on it, count on it, because it's coming. The caravan is in full, is in full view. Okay. Pathetic. Okay, moving on. School officials in Indiana are investigating students after a picture posted on social media showed a great many of those students doing a Nazi salute. Now, the photo, which I'm going to show you here, basically, look, we'll take a look at it, right? So this photo was taken at the high school and posted to Instagram. Now, that is fairly problematic. You can see quite a few of them are making Nazi salutes. Yeah. So you wonder why that's a problem, right? Now, in the email, Zionsville Superintendent Scott Robertson said a concerned student sent the photo to a teacher who then sent it to him. He said the photograph is, quote, sickening to him and beyond offensive to student staff's parents, extended family members, and to an inestimable number of people in the wider world. Well, that he's right. He said, our school's community efforts to foster cultural understanding will proceed, though they are set back mightily by this repugnant image. Now, along with showing, of course, these 10 students giving the Nazi salute, you can see also that they are wearing, most of the students at least, are wearing the upper half of a soccer uniform. Now, apparently, that indoor soccer team is called the Rumbling Bumblers. That is an appropriate nickname or team name because they just literally bumbled into this. Now, Fox 59 reports the caption with the Instagram photo that said, Rumbling Bumblers isn't just an indoor soccer team, we're a cultural phenomenon. A phenomenon? No, I don't think so. I mean, hey, if you wanted to get famous, I guess that this is the closest that you're going to get. But you're going to get famous as being Nazis. Hey, you realize that being a Nazi is not something to be proud of. There is a reason that real fucking Americans beat the shit out of Nazis in World War II, right? You guys realize that, right? That it's not cool? But let's give you more information about that supposed team. Now, Indy Star has confirmed that the Rumblin' Bumblers is a soccer team that played at Off the Wall Sports, an indoor soccer facility in Carmel, Indiana. Now, the team is also mentioned in the 2018 edition of the Zionsville Community High School Yearbook, though it does not appear that the team is affiliated with the school. Not directly, anyway. Now, a Weebly website that appeared to be a page for the Rumblin' Bumblers soccer team, according to the Indy Star, was taken down Friday morning Before it was removed, the site referenced multiple nicknames for its players. One nickname was, quote, Judenschlau, which means, apparently, clever Jew in German. Now, I've got some German viewers here who might be able to verify that. But wow. Now, a second referenced an infamous hazing incident in Carmel, Indianapolis. Another nickname was Albert Fish, who was an infamous child rapist, serial killer, and cannibal. Well, hey, these sound like some real nice, well-rounded kids. Now, the website also apparently used racist language and alluded to having forcible sex with the other team. Now, look, to be fair, in gaming parlance and younger, I guess the younger generation, we happen to use that word quite a bit. It's wrong. It's incredibly hurtful. It's deeply misogynistic, right? But it was used as a way to describe beating another team. So I don't want to give them credit, but, and I'm not like giving them actual credit because that's horrible, but that may not have been actually used or the way that, this is hard to explain because it's not used in the way that I think it's being interpreted as being used. Again, it's beating another team, but you should never, ever absolutely use that language. So that's horrible, right? And again, deeply misogynistic and something that is 100% unacceptable to use. So, and that's just alongside the deeply horrible racist language that was used on this website. So, but anyway, now here's the thing, right? There's more. This is not the first time this team was caught doing this, right? In a photo posted to Google Plus back in 2014, a different set of students in Rumblin' Bumblers uniforms appears in the same location within Zionsville Community High School. One appears to give a Nazi salute. So that's, again, not the first time, and this is bad. Now, this is also not the first incident that happened in Indianapolis or Indiana itself. In 2016, students at Cathedral High School in Indianapolis were photographed holding a German flag and using the Nazi salute. In July, Carmel police arrested a 20-year-old Cloverdale man for spray painting a pair of Nazi flags and an iron cross on a synagogue's property. On Martin Luther King Day Jr. in 2018, Noblesville School said it was addressing the issue after a high school student was identified in a video on social media yelling profanities and racial slurs while wearing a Nazi flag. In September, Hamilton Southeastern Schools responded to a viral social media post that depicted a white student wearing blackface to make fun of a black student. Now, notice how this is primarily young people. Young people. So, geez, man. What is going on with young people in Indiana? You know what I think? I think all these white families, man, these white kids just don't have a proper parental system in place. Or it's the culture. It's got to be white culture. No, I'm kidding, of course. Look, whenever there's something that happens in the black community or like violence or anything like that, here you have people like, or had people like Bill O'Reilly saying, oh, it's a cultural problem. What I see here is, I guess for some subset of people in, of people in America, there is this deep racism and misogyny that's going on, and it's deeply misogynistic. It is a big, big problem. So, I mean, I don't know what the hell is going on here, but you've got Nazis popping up, not just, of course, in Indiana, and racists. No, it's happening all over the country. And so this is a big, big problem, right? What is going on here? What the hell? I mean, look, if you're going to cosplay loser fascists, that's not cool. And that's exactly what Nazis are. So I don't understand the appeal, but there is white supremacy going on here. And whether or not they realize how hurtful and hateful it is hurtful, it is hateful, and it's not cool. And what needs to happen is these kids need to be educated. These people need to know why people don't like Nazis and why dressing up as them or, doing their salutes or holding their flags or, spray painting swastikas is a terrible thing to do. And so they need to get this figured out so that they don't do this. Okay. Anyway, let's go to one more story. All right. Let's move on. Okay. Now, on Wednesday, Senator Bernie Sanders met with about 24 women who had publicly claimed that they were sexually harassed while working on his 2016 presidential campaign. So now, there was apparently a vote on Wednesday for Russian sanctions. So now, funny enough, you've got centrists that are attacking Bernie Sanders for not taking part of that vote. However, he was, instead of being in Congress, he was meeting with these women because of what happened during his campaign. So now that meeting, which also included senior aides and an appearance by Sanders' wife Jane, took place after the women sent a letter last month asking to sit down with the senator to discuss the issue of sexual violence and harassment on the campaign. So this, of course, what happened is multiple women have spoken out about their experiences, including some who told the New York Times that they endured unwanted advances from male campaign staffers. They also reported large pay gaps with male colleagues, only to have, according to them, their campaign leaders discount them. Now, during that meeting, of course, Sanders publicly apologized to these staffers and pledged to do better next time he enters a political race. So now, the timing of this is actually pretty important. He was running. There's a lot of speculation that he is running for 2020. So this comes out. He immediately addresses it, says, okay, here's what we're going to do. I apologize for this, and I'm going to meet with these women. We're going to talk about this. We're going to make sure our campaign does better. So that's fantastic. Now, what is centrist saying? Oh, he missed a vote. He's not taking this seriously. He's getting criticized. Now, if he were there for the vote, he would also have been criticized for not meeting with these women. So that's important. Understand that there is no winning over certain people. Nonetheless, I think that this is great. I think it's great that he takes these complaints serious, because these are serious complaints. This is not an establishment smear. What this is that I am very certain that in political campaigns, like if you're trying to tell me that political campaigns don't have elements of sexism in them, or people not getting paid, or people not getting treated correctly, well, look, you would be foolish. It happens in campaigns. It happens to a lot of campaigns. So why wouldn't it happen in the Sanders campaign? Because it happens everywhere. That's the problem with, misogyny. That's the problem with sexism. It crops up everywhere, even in the best campaigns. And so here's Senator Sanders saying, hey, look, man, I was unaware that this was happening in the campaign, but now that I know it's happening, or that it happened, I'm going to do something about it. I'm going to address this head on, and we're going to make sure that it doesn't happen again. In fact, in a statement last week, he said, I thank them, the people who came out, from the bottom of my heart for speaking out. What they experienced was absolutely unacceptable and certainly not what a progressive campaign or any campaign should be about. The allegations speak to unacceptable behavior that must not be tolerated in any campaign or workplace. To the women in that campaign who were harassed or mistreated, I apologize. Sanders then both told the Times and CNN that the meeting on Wednesday, that lasted for an hour, was private and declined to discuss what was said. However, a former staffer told CNN that the senator opened his remarks with, quote, an honest apology, and said it was clear that he came to listen and have us be heard. And that right there, that is what good progressive leadership looks like. See, we have to understand that not all of our politicians are perfect, right? And that sometimes in the best of campaigns, people act the worst. Now, look, I'm somebody who always pushes back against the Bernie bro narrative. That said, were there people who did vote for Sanders that treated women poorly online? Absolutely. Just like there were people on the Clinton campaign that also treated people very, very poorly online. It is a thing. It turns out that there are just shit people online. There are bad people online. It doesn't matter who they subscribe to. They are still bad people, right? And so what we have to do as progressives is discourage that behavior. So what I mean by is if you see somebody that's harassing someone else, a woman, person of color, for literally no reason, right? Whether it be somebody who's on your side politically, who believes in your same ideology, or someone who's a centrist or whatever, call them out. Our online space, our progressive movement, has no time or patience to deal with shitty people, to deal with people who are sexist and misogynistic. So we have to put when it comes to our movement and the members of it, we need to aspire to be more like Bernie Sanders and to call this out wherever we find it and to put a stop to it. That's our job as progressives and as part of this movement to help continue the movement. All right. That's it. That's all I got for you guys today. Thank you for going around the nation with me. Thank you for the super chats. Thank you for donating to our campaign for a camera. You want to donate to that. That is GoFundMe.com/TYTNation camera. Also, you can support us by going to Patreon, patreon.com/TYTNation. You can also support us on Venmo. We have a PayPal, TYTNation, of course. All that stuff where you can help the show. There's lots of different options if you choose to do so. If you can't contribute financially, that's fine. Please like and share. That's what helps a lot. So help us get to that 100,000. Hopefully we'll get there next week. We're so close. Maybe we'll even do it over the weekend. I don't know. But thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for watching, for sharing, for donating. Thank you so much for being part of the TYT Nation. I love you guys. All right. Thank you. And remember, change begins with you. Good night, nation. We'll see you guys on Monday.